From the classic suits of his childhood to becoming a young man with a fashion sense that turns heads, Barron Trump has undergone a transformation that most people wouldn't expect. But here's the question. How does a teenager, raised in one of the world's most scrutinized families, shape his style under such intense public gaze? Stay with me because by the end of this video, you'll not only see Barron's unique style evolution, but also understand how his choices reveal so much more than just fashion. From his very first public appearances, Barron Trump's wardrobe sent a message: polished, traditional, and perfectly curated. At just 10 years old, he was already wearing tailored suits that wouldn't look out of place in a boardroom. These weren't just clothes, they were statements. They showed the world that even at a young age, Barron was part of a family where appearances mattered, and sophistication was the expectation. But let's pause for a moment and think about that. How many kids do you know who wear tailored suits at an age where most are in sneakers and superhero tees? It wasn't just fashion, it was a signal. Barron wasn't just a child in the spotlight, he was the son of a US president, part of a family that was always on display. Every outfit was meticulously chosen, not just for him, but for what it represented about the Trump family's image. As Barron grew older, we saw subtle shifts. Those perfectly tailored suits were gradually replaced by more relaxed versions, still sharp, but with hints of his own preferences creeping in. It was as if his wardrobe was saying, "I'm still part of this family, but I'm beginning to find my way." And here's where it gets interesting. While other kids were experimenting with flashy logos or bold patterns, Barron's style choices remained grounded. They hinted at a sense of maturity far beyond his years. But why? Was it family influence? Or was it a sign of his reserved personality? As we go through his story, you'll see how these early choices set the stage for his later transformation into someone who balances tradition with individuality. Here's what's truly fascinating. Barron's fashion choices are more than just clothes, they're a mirror reflecting his growth, his identity, and even the pressure of living in one of the world's most high-profile families. Stick around because, as we move through his teenage years and into adulthood, you'll notice patterns and decisions that speak volumes about who Barron really is. And, as a bonus, I'll share how his unique approach to style could inspire anyone looking to refine their wardrobe. As Barron stepped into his teenage years, something shifted not just in his age, but in his approach to how he presented himself to the world. Gone were the days of exclusively tailored suits and formal outfits. Instead, his wardrobe began to reflect a different side of him, one that felt more personal, more relatable. Baggy graphic tees, sneakers with bold designs, and relaxed hoodies started appearing in his public outings. It was as if he was saying, "I'm just like any other teenager," even though his life couldn't be further from normal. These choices weren't random, they mirrored the trends of his generation. Streetwear, oversized fits, and a more laid-back aesthetic had become cultural staples for young people, and Barron embraced them in his own way. But what's truly captivating here isn't just the clothes, it's the meaning behind them. Barron's style in his teen years showed a young man figuring out how to balance individuality with the expectations of being a public figure. It was a subtle but significant way of carving out a sense of self in an environment where that's often a challenge. Yet, despite this shift toward casual fashion, there was still something unmistakably polished about him. Even when dressed down, his outfits felt intentional, with clean lines and cohesive color palette. It's this ability to stay casual, yet elevated, that gave us a glimpse of his evolving personality, a mix of reserved elegance and youthful confidence. And here's where it gets even more intriguing. His teenage wardrobe wasn't just a reflection of his personal taste, but also of his desire to connect with a younger, trend-conscious audience. It was as if he was quietly showing the world that he could step away from the formality of his childhood without losing the sophistication that defined his family name. Keep watching, because as Barron entered his college years, his wardrobe took another turn, blending comfort, functionality, and a sense of individuality that signaled a whole new chapter in his fashion evolution. As Barron transitioned into his college years, his style began to reflect the environment around him. The shift was noticeable but subtle. Gone was the formality of his early years, and even the trend-driven edge of his teenage wardrobe softened into something more practical and approachable. College life tends to demand a certain level of adaptability, and Barron's fashion choices started to prioritize comfort while maintaining a sense of refinement. Think relaxed jeans, varsity-style jackets, layering pieces like hoodies under coats, and athletic-inspired sneakers that balanced ease of movement with effortless style. These weren't the flashy, high-fashion statements one might expect from someone with his background. They were grounded, thoughtful, and surprisingly relatable. But there's a deeper story here. His choices weren't just about blending in, they were about evolving. College is often a time of self-discovery, and Barron's wardrobe reflected someone navigating a new chapter of independence while staying true to his understated persona. The athletic-inspired elements, in particular, spoke to the practicality of being on a campus where life moves fast. But the clean, neutral tones and minimalistic designs hinted that Barron wasn't trying to blend in completely. Instead, he was finding a way to express himself in an authentic and practical way that still felt true to the classic foundation his earlier years had built. Interestingly, his style during this period seemed to highlight a growing maturity. While many college students lean heavily into trends or casual wear that feels temporary, Barron's choices often lean timeless items that could easily transition from class to a more formal setting. It's as if he was already thinking ahead, using fashion not just as a tool for self-expression, but as a way to stay prepared for the many roles he might take on in the future. This period also showed how Barron was learning to integrate influences from his surroundings, whether it was the laid-back vibe of college life or the need for function and comfort in his daily routine. But even as his wardrobe became more casual, it never lost the touch of quiet sophistication that had come to define his style. He wasn't just dressing like a college student, he was shaping a unique version of that identity, one that balanced the demands of youth with the expectations of someone in his position. And yet, the most fascinating evolution was still ahead: how he would take these foundational elements and refine them into a signature style that was entirely his own. Keep watching. Because Barron's current blend of contemporary trends and timeless elegance tells a story that offers not just inspiration, but a look into the future of his fashion journey. As Barron's style matured, it became clear that he had developed a signature look, a unique balance of classic and contemporary that feels both intentional and effortless. This phase of his fashion evolution is where his choices truly started to stand out, not because they were loud or overly trend-driven, but because of their quiet sophistication. Clean lines, neutral tones, and timeless staples began to form the core of his wardrobe. Think tailored blazers paired with modern sneakers or minimalist jackets layered over casual basics. It's this blend of old and new, formal and relaxed, that gives Barron's style its distinct identity. What's fascinating here is how he incorporates trends without letting them overwhelm his overall aesthetic. For example, while he might wear a trendy, oversized coat or sleek streetwear-inspired sneakers, they're always paired with pieces that ground the look: classic denim, a simple knit sweater, or a structured button-down. This balance suggests an understanding of fashion that's rare for someone his age, knowing how to stay relevant while maintaining an air of timelessness. It's not just about following what's popular, it's about making choices that work for him, choices that feel deliberate and personal. And this approach hasn't just shaped how people view him, it's also shaped how people perceive the Trump family as a whole. While the name Trump often brings to mind bold statements and attention-grabbing headlines, Barron's understated style offers a refreshing contrast. His calm, collected image is amplified by the consistency of his wardrobe. It sends a subtle message: he's comfortable in his own skin and doesn't need flashy displays to make an impression. This stage of his fashion evolution also highlights a key theme: versatility. Whether he's attending a formal event or casually walking through the city, Barron's outfits always seem to strike the perfect balance for the occasion. His ability to seamlessly transition between settings while maintaining his personal style has only added to the intrigue surrounding him. But perhaps the most interesting part of this chapter is how it feels like a prelude to what's next. As Barron continues to grow and step further into adulthood, his fashion choices suggest a potential for even greater sophistication and individuality. And the question remains: how will he continue to define himself, not just through his wardrobe but through the identity he builds for himself in the years to come? Stay with me, because in the final section, we'll explore what Barron's style might look like in the future and what we can learn from his journey so far. As Barron approaches adulthood, the future of his style holds endless possibilities. His evolution so far has been a masterclass in balance between tradition and modernity, personal expression and public expectations. But what lies ahead could take his fashion journey to entirely new levels. With adulthood comes more freedom to experiment and opportunities to craft a wardrobe that reflects not just his personality, but the experiences, ambitions, and paths he chooses to pursue. What's likely to remain constant is his preference for timeless pieces and clean silhouettes. These staples are the foundation of his style, but as Barron grows, we might see him incorporate bolder statements, think sharper tailoring, unexpected textures, or even a more experimental approach to accessories. Whether it's a standout coat with intricate detailing or incorporating vibrant colors in subtle ways, his ability to embrace change while staying grounded will be key. His career aspirations, lifestyle, and personal relationships will undoubtedly influence his wardrobe, shaping not only what he wears but how he carries himself. Will he lean into the world of high fashion, aligning with luxury brands that match his polished image? Or will he further develop a refined yet approachable aesthetic, emphasizing comfort and simplicity with an elevated twist? Either way, his choices will likely continue to strike that delicate balance between making a statement and maintaining authenticity. One thing is certain: Barron's ability to navigate the intersection of youth culture, tradition, and individuality has already set him apart. His style isn't just about clothing, it's a form of communication, quietly telling the world that he's more than the last name he carries. And as he moves further into the spotlight, it's clear that his fashion evolution is far from over. Here's where you come in. Barron's story reminds us that style isn't about following trends or sticking to rules, it's about finding what works for you and owning it. So, here's the challenge. Take a moment to think about how your own wardrobe reflects who you are and where you want to go. If there's one thing Barron's evolution teaches us, it's that fashion is a tool for self-expression, growth, and confidence. Who knows? Maybe his journey will inspire your next big style move. And with that, we've seen how a young boy in tailored suits grew into a young man with a style that's uniquely his own. But the best part, his evolution is a reminder that no matter where you start, your personal style is always within your control and the possibilities are endless. If you found this story intriguing, share your thoughts or your own style evolution in the comments. Let's continue the conversation about how what we wear shapes who we are.